Now, do we have one more thing? Ma'am?
Vice Chair Fine, when we move to the next agenda item, before you take your roll call vote and to go to decide whether or not you want to have a deliberative process discussion, first, I believe the board needs to address the fact that the complainant still has their 5 minutes that they were allotted under the terms of your policies for an appeal, and take notice or determine what it would like to do with the complainant's request that the email that was sent to the board be taken into consideration in lieu of that 5-minute presentation.
Okay, so is anybody willing to make a motion that says we just add?
Could I just clarify that what process can we follow? Would this satisfy the appeal process so that we can move forward with hearing the appeal? I mean, what's necessary to
Just to add it to the
to
file.
go into
He gave us a written summary.
But I'd like to hear that so that we can have a definitive result when we're done.
Okay, I'd sure like that.
Vice Chair Fine and Member Dr. Cass, the policies for an appeal for this board provide that there's certain times for hearings for requests for reconsideration that are to be allotted to specific complainants, as well as APD and the agency. Before we lost a quorum at the last board meeting where this matter was heard, we got through the first 4 steps of that hearing allotment process, which was 15 minutes for the complainant, 5 minutes for the police officer if present, 10 minutes for APD, 10 minutes for the CPOA executive director, and where we lost our quorum was at some point during the 5 minutes for the complainant or representative. It is in the board's purview to allow a complainant to waive that 5 minutes, to consider the email in lieu of that 5 minutes, or to expand the time allotted for anyone based on questioning that the board might have had of any of the complainant's APD or the agency. In response to the specific question about whether new evidence or information can be accepted, that is within your policies to allow that if the board is so inclined to do so. I think that what you are looking at with the email is a bit of a hybrid between the 5-minute oral presentation that could be presented to this agency as part of the reconsideration versus new evidence. Either way, your policies permit that to be considered if the board is so desiring.
A further question, can we consider this by just taking the letter with us into closed session and dealing with it there, or is it necessary to read this letter in open session?
Vice Chair Fine, Board Member Dr. Cass, the letter itself, I believe, is now part of the record that will be presented and available to the public for the board and anyone else to access as part of the minutes, so there's not a need to read it specifically into the record here tonight. If the board would like to consider it, it may do so. The content of its deliberations is completely up to the board, so long as it's limited to the content of the appeal.
So it can be part of our conversation.
Vice
We
Chair,
can consider it in closed session.
Vice Chair Fine, yes. Yes, you may.
Okay. Does anybody have a preference on how we go with this?
Well, I'd move that we take this information into consideration in closed session and not read it to the board in an open session.
That. All those in favor? Aye. Are you voting?
Well, the complainant asked that we read this aloud, I believe. Well, maybe not. I'm sorry.
Not in this letter.
No, he just says, please read it. He doesn't say to read it aloud. So, yeah, I'm fine.
Okay, that's a unanimous
Yes.
vote. So now we need to take a roll call vote to go into closed session to discuss this appeal. Can I have a motion to that effect?
Move we go into closed session to discuss the appeal
A second.
of case 13218.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Roll call.
No, roll call. Yes, 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 we did that.
Okay.
All right. Here we go. Once more into the breach. Okay, we're back on. We need a motion to come back into general session.
Vice Chair Fine, I make a motion that we come back into closed session.
Into
Come
open-
out of closed session into
I need a
into
second.
session.
Second.
All those in favor, roll call?
Aye.
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 Okay, we're back in session. Dr. Cass has some motions to make.
In this case, the board would like to thank the complainant for bringing this case to the attention of the board, and I would like to move to sustain the findings that were presented in the letter from the agency to the complainant.
Okay, do you have a second? Do we have a second for that?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
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 Unanimous?
Aye.
Okay.
Yes, so I have a further motion that I'd like to make, and that is that I move to address the deficiencies that were identified in this original, in the complainant's letters, with a full review of the policy or a full review of this case by a review of the policy of the appropriate SOPs. Did that come out? So,
Do we need a second?
do I need to repeat that?
We're not reviewing the case, we're reviewing the
I move to sustain I move to address the deficiencies in the process that were identified in this case through a policy review of the appropriate SOPs.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.